See what the Lord has for us. I want to begin in Matthew chapter 21, starting at verse 1. Now when they drew near to Jerusalem and came to Bethphage, to the mountain of Olives, then Jesus sent 2 disciples, and saying to them, "Go into the village in front of you, and immediately you will find a donkey tied and a colt with her. Untie them and bring them to me. If anyone says anything to you, you shall say, 'The Lord needs them,' and he will send them at once." This took place to fulfill what was spoken by the prophet, saying, "Say to the daughter of Zion, Behold, your king is coming to you, humble and mounted on a donkey, on a colt, the foal of a beast of burden." The disciples went and did as Jesus had directed them. They brought the donkey and the colt and put on them their cloaks, and he sat on them. Most of the crowd spread their cloaks on the road, and others cut branches from the trees and spread them on the road. And the crowds that went before him, that followed him, were shouting, "Hosanna to the Son of David! Blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord! Hosanna in the highest!" And when he entered Jerusalem, the whole city was stirred up, saying, "Who is this?" And the crowd said, "This is the prophet Jesus from Nazareth of Galilee." So, last night I went out with a couple of friends, and we sat down to have a meal. And I think I've shared this before. One of the most intimidating things for me is having to look at a menu with like a million choices. I have no idea what I'm going to get. I know that somebody sitting next to me and with me is going to judge me for whatever it is I choose to buy. And I'm always perplexed. And I want to be the last one to pick because I want to see what everyone else is getting. If they're getting a lot, I'll get a lot. If they're getting a little bit, then I'm going to get a little bit. If they're eating healthy, I guess I got to buy a salad. If they're getting wings, I'm definitely getting wings. But it's choices. When we would play pickup basketball, I hated being the guy that had to choose the team. Because I know somebody was going to, their feelings were going to be hurt. Because you always want to pick fastest, biggest, strongest guy. You don't want the guy that's just sitting there and just like, "Can someone please choose me?" You don't want that guy. Because he can't play. Or you look at their sneakers and their gear. I'm not picking them. And I would always hate to be the last one picked. Because now I got something to prove now. But what we see in this passage is Jesus, he's entering Jerusalem triumphantly. But less than a week later, something goes wrong. But why is it that at one moment the crowds are adoring Jesus, and then they turn on him by the end of the week? What choice does Palm Sunday present to us? Well, this morning we'll explore the reasons the people all seem to choose Jesus and then turn on him. Today is Palm Sunday, the day that we celebrate Jesus riding into Jerusalem on the back of a young donkey. And this day has been described by Christians for generations as the triumphal entry into Jerusalem. But why? I mean, if this was such a triumphant entry, then why did they crucify Jesus at the end of the week? So we seem to have a bit of a conundrum, a bit of a problem here. If this is such a triumphant day, what goes wrong that Jesus will find himself betrayed, arrested, accused, tried, sentenced to die the death of a common criminal by crucifixion. See, Jesus' procession or entry into Jerusalem, it wasn't the only procession that the city would see that day. In the year 30 AD, Roman historians record that the governor of Judea, Pontius Pilate, led a procession of Roman cavalry and centurions into the city on that exact same day. Imagine, if you would, with me, all the pomp and circumstance, this display of entry from the western side of the city, the opposite side from which Jesus is entering. You have Pontius Pilate, he's leading Roman soldiers into the city on horseback, not on foot. And each soldier was dressed and clad in leather armor that was polished so that it would shine. And each centurion is wearing helmets that seem to gleam in the sun. And at their sides they have their swords. And in their hands they have, each centurion is carrying a spear or a bow and arrow. You have these drummers that they're banging their drums and they're all marching to this cadence. This was not an ordinary entry into Jerusalem. Pilate, as governor of the region, he knew that it was standard practice for the Roman governor of a foreign territory to be in the capital for religious celebrations. It was the beginning of Passover, a Jewish festival that celebrated the deliverance of the Jews from another empire, the Egyptian Empire. So Pilate had to be in Jerusalem. Since the Romans had occupied Jerusalem by defeating the Jews and overthrowing their king about 80 years before, uprisings were always in the air. The air was always thick with this tension. That something was about to go down, something was about to happen. The last major uprising, long before Pilate, had been the death of Herod the Great in 4 BC. The uprising started about 5 miles from Nazareth. And before it was over, the capital, Galilee, the town of Emmaus, had been destroyed by the Roman army. And after quieting the rebellion, the Romans marched on to Jerusalem. And they crucified over 2,000 Jews who were accused of being a part of the rebellion. So the Romans had made it clear that they weren't tolerating any sort of rebellion. And so, on this occasion, Pilate had traveled with his contingent of Rome's finest soldiers into the capital city of the Jews, Jerusalem. The temple was the center of all the Passover activity. And Pilate's entry into Jerusalem was meant to send a message to the Jews and to everyone who might be plotting against the empire of Rome. The spectacle was meant to remind the Jews that what had happened the last time they tried to rebel. And it was meant to intimidate the citizens of Jerusalem, just in case they were thinking twice about joining the rebellion. Now, Pilate's entry was a show of military might, a show of military power and strength. Jesus' entry was something else. The Gospels of Matthew and Mark record Jesus' own words as he instructs his disciples to go into the city, to find a donkey that's tied up, and they're to ask the owner if they may use the donkey. And they had to say to the owner that the Lord needs him. But there's more to this passage than just the description of Jesus' mode of transportation. The prophet Zechariah in chapter 9, verse 9, he speaks to the nation of Israel, and he assures them that God has not forgotten them. He says, "Rejoice, O daughter of Zion. Shout aloud, O daughter of Jerusalem. Behold, your king is coming to you. Righteous and having salvation is he, humble and mounted on a donkey, on a colt, the foal of a donkey." See, by riding into the city on a donkey, Christ is reminding us of, or reminding them in particular, of God's promise and informing them that it is being fulfilled in their very presence. What they heard and saw when they saw Jesus coming in on a donkey is that God will deliver the nation from its oppressor, Rome. But the king that they were seeking would come to them humbly. Not on a war horse, but on a donkey. See, the symbol of a king who comes in peace, according to Zechariah. The two different processions or entries into the city, they couldn't be more different, especially with what they were saying. In Pilate entering the city, he exemplifies the might and power of the Roman Empire, which crushes everyone who opposes it. And Jesus, riding in on a donkey, embodies peace. The peace that God brings to his people. See, donkeys were an acceptable form of transportation for kings, but only during times of peace. During times of war, kings rode horses. See what's happening here? Do you see the two differences? The two statements that are being communicated? Zechariah 9:9 is addressed to the Israelites, but Zechariah 9:10 is universal in its scope. And it says, "And he shall speak peace to the nations. His rule shall be from sea to sea and from river to the ends of the earth." Jesus' ministry was focused on Israel, but due to their rejection of him, which is climaxed in his death, God offers peace to all the nations. See, everyone that's there, everyone that's present, they're forced to make a choice. And so are we. Either we serve God or we serve the God of this world. We serve the God of this world and we desire and hunger for and thirst for power and might. Or we serve the King of peace. The crowd, including the disciples, they get caught up in this entry. And everybody there thinks that they are following Jesus. But by the end of the week, Jesus would have disappointed all of the crowd. That they turn on him. Even his closest friends, the disciples. That they will betray him and abandon him. And as Jesus enters the city on the eastern side of the Mount of Olives, the disciples put their cloaks on the donkey's back. Others put their cloaks on the ground. Others cut palm branches and lay them on the ground. And all the while, they're declaring, "Hosanna to the Son of David. Blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord. Hosanna in the highest." They're the exact same songs that we just sung. This is a celebration for them. Their king is riding in, and they have certain expectations for this king. And they proclaim their expectations. See, the term or the word Hosanna is a Greek transliteration of the Hebrew Hosianna, which means, "O Lord, save us." They know exactly what is going on. They know exactly what is taking place. See, the cries of the crowd, it draws into mind the Exodus. And it looks forward to this victory of God in and through Christ. They knew exactly what was taking place. They knew exactly what they were saying. They knew exactly what God was doing. They knew that they were being oppressed, and their minds were drawn to a time when they were oppressed before. And they're thinking about God delivering them from Egypt. Hosanna! Oh Lord, save us! And they understood this as the new Exodus in Christ. And yet, they still don't fully and rightly understand who Jesus is. People, they're getting stirred up. They say, Hosanna to the Son of David. In other words, they were placing their faith in Jesus. They were putting their faith in Him that He would restore the glory of the nation of Israel to its previous splendor when David and Solomon ruled. That's what the Jews wanted, right? But they wanted their glory back. They wanted to be back in power. They wanted some political might. They wanted the Messiah to bring back the glory of Israel and to rid Israel of its oppressors. Well, then why did they kill him a few days later? If you listen closely, you'll find us right there. And if you pay close attention, you find us in the mix. You find us shouting, Hosanna! Glory unto God! If you pay close attention, they are not they. They are us. Because, beloved, we do the exact same thing. Jesus coming into Jerusalem, well, it may or may not have been a planned event. He may have planned it just so that Pilate enters the same time, the same day. But either way, these two entries, it's not a mistake that they contrast. It's not a mistake that they are communicating two distinctly different things. See, Pilate, he served God too. In particular, the Son of God. The late Emperor Augustus, who ruled from 31 to 14 AD, was said to have been fathered by Apollo, which is the Roman god, or a Roman god. And inscriptions have been found that refer to him as the Son of God, or Lord, or even Savior. And legend has it that after his death, he ascended into heaven to take his place amongst the small g gods. And Augustus' successor, Tiberius, during Jesus' life and ministry, also had divine titles. And until later in the first century, Roman emperors would demand to not only be addressed as God, but to be worshipped as God as well. So what we have is a clear distinction between kings and kingdoms. And although many of the common people thought they sided with Jesus, they only did so for the same reason the Pharisees and others sided with Rome. They thought Jesus would make their lives better. That sound familiar? They thought Jesus would deliver them from the oppressive system. That sound familiar? We thought that Jesus would turn the tables on the Romans. They thought that they would come to Jesus and get something and get some power. And that's why the crowds turn on Jesus by the end of the week. They don't think that he is going to deliver. They don't think that he's going to give them this political might. And in addition, Jesus isn't making life better for them. He's going to make things worse. The religious leaders, all of them, who never agree on anything. You have the Pharisees, the Sadducees, the Zealots, the scribes, and a couple more, but they never agree on anything except this one thing. That Jesus is going to attract too much attention. That because of this Jesus, the Roman Empire is going to take notice of us. And they're going to come down fast and hard on the entire nation. They agree on that. And they agree on the only way that we can stop the Romans from coming in and tearing us apart is if we kill Jesus. So when Jesus is betrayed, arrested, tried, accused, Pilate brings him before the angry mobs, and they want to get rid of him. See, Jesus, in their minds, he never did what they wanted him to do. He never defeated the Romans. He never dissolved this unfair tax system. He never put common people in charge of the government. He never gave them their riches. He never gave them their house on the hill. He never put the Republicans in charge. He never put the Democrats in charge. He never gave them their BMW. He never gave... Wait, I'm sorry. I fast forwarded a couple centuries. He never did what they wanted him to do. He never would. But to calm the people, and Pilate had this custom of releasing prisoners. And on this last week in the life of Jesus, Pilate offers the crowd a choice. Barabbas, the known thief, or Jesus? We all know what happened. The crowd begs for Barabbas to be released and for Jesus to be executed. Not just by any means. They wanted him crucified. That's what they were crying, crucify him! See, crucifixion was one form of capital punishment that would show Rome that the Jews were completely loyal. See, they knew that it would humiliate Jesus and kill him and prove to the Romans that, hey, we don't want any trouble, we're with you, we belong to you. Pilate tries to prevent himself from having to sentence Jesus to death. The only thing that he's concerned with is that he doesn't want to make the wrong choice. But the Jewish leadership forced the issue even further, and the crowd that's present for Passover was in complete unrest. Pilate couldn't afford another riot on his hands because he was already close to being exiled for allowing previous riots to break out. And so he sentenced Jesus to be scourged and to be crucified. And I'm jumping ahead of myself. I'm moving on to next week. But for one moment, consider it. Ask yourself. If you had been in Jerusalem that day and you saw both processions passing by, which one would you have chosen to follow? Ask yourself, if this were happening now and today, which one would you follow? Well, which procession have you chosen to follow now? The one that promises power and might and prestige and significance? Or the one that promises peace? See, beloved, the world, it tells us that we can have all of these things if we would just follow along. But Jesus promises us something else. Jesus, the only thing that he requests and requires of us is that we would die. You don't want that though, right? See, the popular gospel says if you submit to Jesus, you get rich now. You have happiness now. You have wealth now. No, that's not what Jesus promises. He does promise life in abundance. But that doesn't mean what I think most of us think that means. He's not promising us a house on the hill. He's not promising us that everything will be peaches and cream now. That's what the crowd thought. They thought that this is the promised king. We are about to rule. This is the one that we've always been waiting for. We are going to be put into power. That I accepted Jesus as my Lord and Savior, so life is going to be great now. I showed up to church. I did what I was supposed to do. Bless me now, Jesus. That's not the Jesus of the Bible. See, the Jesus of the Bible requires something else. He says, take up your cross and follow me. He says, surrender your will to me. Submit. And it's not popular these days. For good reason. For good reason. So let me ask again. Your choice. Which king would you choose? Which king have you chosen? The one that's presenting peace? That's riding on a donkey? Or the one who is putting on this great display of might, power, and significance? Which Jesus do you choose? The one of the Bible? The one of our popular culture? The one that promises you the same thing that the world promises? The one that says, look, it's going to be hard, but I'm with you until the end of the age. I will never leave you nor forsake you. Which one are you submitting to? Which one are you choosing to follow? That's the choice that we make each and every day. To choose power and might over love and peace. To choose the way things are done over the way that God intends them to be. On that day there were two processions, two theologies, two choices, two kings, two kingdoms. Which would you choose? What kind of king did you expect? The one who overthrows the government, the one who runs the government, or the one who was beaten? The one who would be crucified? Which king? Depending on how you answer that question, speaks volumes for your eternity. Christ, our Lord, is about to face our punishment. He's handed over to be flogged. I don't think for a moment that this was a natural punishment, an ordinary punishment that anyone could take. He has surrendered for you. He has completely given his life over. The Bible says he who knew no sin became sin. Wait, but this is a king. And this king stepped down out of heaven. And you might partake in the glory of God for eternity. Which king have you chosen? And this isn't some huge, giant theological question. You know which king you have chosen every single day. Look at what we buy. Look at how we act. Look at where we walk. Look at how we talk. Look at our relationships. Are we grabbing for power? Or are we pursuing peace? Think about what James says in chapter 4. And the only reason why we have wars and stress and strife is because of our own greed. Look at your family. Look at your relationships. Those relationships are broken because we're not pursuing peace, we're pursuing power. We're pursuing the wrong king. Look at the stress and strife that we have in our world today. It's the way that it is because we're pursuing the wrong king. See, everybody makes this argument about Republican and Democrat and liberal and conservative. No. It has nothing to do with anything. The real issue is that we have chosen the wrong king. It has nothing to do with choosing the wrong president. Nothing. It has everything to do with choosing the wrong king. Is Jesus king of your life? So, pursue Jesus. Pursue nothing but Jesus. Pursue peace, not power. Let's pray.